What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. For those of you stopping by for the first time, if you see something that you like here today, please don't forget to subscribe at some point. Those of you stopping by that have been here before, welcome back to TLTG Reviews, my friends. Glad you came see me. So today I'm bringing you 5 more fragrances, some cheap fragrances. I know how much you guys love talking about the cheap fragrances. So these are ones that when I got them, I didn't have any plans to get anybody saying anything about them really. It was just, you know, cheap, take a shot on them. Yeah, they smell okay. But lo and behold, there's some low-key compliment getters. So I figured we'd talk about them. Stay tuned. So jumping off into the first one, when it comes to a cheap fragrance that is a surprising compliment getter, I have to start it off with this one because it spans beyond just my wife, because it's my wife's favorite fragrance in my collection. I don't really wear it that much because it's not my favorite fragrance in my collection, but I've had a bunch of other people, two handfuls of times I've worn it, they compliment me on it. It's just, it shocks me every time somebody tells me how good I smell when I wear Mercedes-Benz Club. Yep. Mercedes-Benz Club. 50 ml can be had online for 20 bucks or in the rack stores when you can find it, which is where this came from. Around 30 bucks for a 100 ml. Super powerful too. The rhubarb is extremely dominant and prominent in this. It's very fresh, but definitely has some density and some extreme, let me repeat and emphasize that, extreme staying power. And you will go anosmic to it. You'll think you need to refresh a few hours in when you really have this gigantic scent bubble going on still. And you just don't know it. And you walk by, somebody 7-8 feet away says, ooh, who's wearing that? Mercedes-Benz Club. It's not for everybody. Some people just don't like it. They say it smells like hay, which it does kind of give off a hay note, but it just works. Don't get me wrong, I like how it smells, but it's far from even in my top 100 favorite fragrances in my collection. I have close to 500 fragrances at this point, counting colognes. I mean, I doubt it cracks the, it might crack top 100. I don't, probably top 100. Definitely not the top 50. You know, so like I said, it's a good fragrance, but shocks me every single time I get a compliment. Maybe it's one you need to try, because on the low, it's pretty good though. Mercedes-Benz Club. Next, this is another one that I bought because I like the house. Used to be my go-to clothing designer before I switched to Ralph Lauren Polo years ago. Tommy Hilfiger. Love the brand. Love the original fragrance. I like a lot of the flankers too. And this is a flanker for Tommy Hilfiger. And when I bought Tommy Into the Surf, I was not expecting to get positive attention when I wear this one. It's, you know, it's generic, fresh, a little minty, got some juniper kind of smell going for it. Maybe a little bit of violet leaf. I don't remember. I think it's some violet leaf, but it's a familiar smell. It's kind of got a Zinnuomo meets every aquatic fragrance you've ever smelled kind of in one bottle, you know. It's a good fragrance and it's decent on performance, but it's one I'll throw on when we got to run to Walgreens or we're going to run to Marshall's for something, or just that's mainly what I use it for. Out the shower sometimes, and when I'm throwing on a t-shirt like I'm wearing and we're going run some errands and I just need something fresh to go. That's what I use this for, and I get a compliment not every time I wear it, but a lot of the times when I wear it. And it always catches me by surprise because I think it smells good. Don't get me wrong. It's very generic, very cheap. Nothing special in my mind. But it takes me back, just like with Mercedes-Benz Club, it takes me back when somebody says something about it because it's just a basic, generic, aquatic, fresh, summer kind of fragrance, you know? It's decent. But it's nothing mind-blowingly special. And people love the way it smells coming off of my skin. Absolutely pulls some compliments for me. It's very, very cheap online. And that's from Tommy Hilfiger. It's Tommy Into the Surf. Next, this is a recent acquisition that I got on my trip to Louisiana. Super, super cheap. Does not perform that great. Very masculine, fresh fragrance. I've been spraying it out the shower a lot. I've been wearing it a lot lately. It's a very good refresher for me. And I've gotten a few compliments. It's just, I've only had it for a week now. And I've gotten like 4 compliments on it the 2 times I've worn it, 3 times I've worn it, something like that. It had to go in this video. Eau de Grey Flannel. A $12 4-ounce bottle that can be found at Ross Dress for Less pretty easily. I've seen it many times and I always kept passing on it and passing on it. I finally picked it up while I was in Louisiana, and nothing like the original. I can't stand the way the original smells. I tried and tried and tried. I gave it many chances. But this one, it just works. It's a very masculine, vintage, fresh fragrance vibe. It smells like something you've smelled 100 times, but you've never smelled anything exactly like it before. If that makes any sense to you. And in that first hour, when people can smell you, oh, what you wearing today? That smells pretty good. $12 Eau de Grey Flannel. Quietly and surprisingly easily pulls the compliments pretty much every time I've worn it. Next is one that I kept seeing on Instagram, a lot of different people talking about. And then Justin at Stay Fresh Productions, he talked about it several times. That's what kind of talked me into, all right, I'm finally going to pull the trigger. It's not anything I didn't know about beforehand, but I'd always kept procrastinating. Maybe I'll get that another time. And finally, I pulled the trigger on Sean John 3 AM. And I love the way this smells. And then, not that this matters for the scent, but the atomizer is just incredible in this fragrance. But I enjoy fig. I enjoy fig leaf, fig type fragrances. This is a fresh, soft, leathery fig fragrance. It's beautiful. Doesn't project real heavy, sits kind of close to the skin, not a strong performer. Again, the day I wore this to work last week, the beginning of last week, like 4 compliments. I did refresh, and I refreshed heavy the second go round. And I wore it relatively heavy in the morning, but I didn't think anybody was going to say anything because I didn't think it was projecting enough. But Sean John 3 AM, quiet compliment getter. Quietly going to turn some heads for you when you're wearing this one. Now you got to keep it with you because you got to refresh. But you can find it cheap. I paid like $13 for this unboxed brand new 50 ml. I saw 30 ml when I was in Louisiana at Ross Dress for Less. They're out. They're easy to find online. They're cheap, super cheap. Absolutely worth owning. Generic without being too generic, unique, but being far from a standalone unique fragrance. It's just a good, fresh fragrance that quietly turns some heads. Very, very surprising. And that's Sean John, 3 AM. Now this last one I haven't worn recently, and I have put a small dent in this because I've worn it several times. I've had it for a little while. I've worn it several times, and I love the way it smells. I'm not completely surprised that it gets compliments for me. But it's one of those that, yeah, you enjoy, but you don't really factor in when you wear something like this, at least I don't, on if it's going to pull compliments. It don't strike me as some crazy compliment getter when I smell it. It just smells good and fruity to me. It's from Dunhill, Desire Blue. I love the color of this bottle. I love the shape of the bottle, everything about it, and then that beautiful, beautiful smell. It's not unique, but it doesn't smell like everything else either. I don't want to go on a limb and say every time I've worn it somebody says something, but I know the last couple of times I wore it, I definitely got some comments and some compliments. Not a strong performer. It's another one. It's fresh fragrance, cheap fragrance. Not a super strong performer, but it's definitely a head turner. It's fresh. Ladies like the way this smells. Co-workers, strangers, customers, walkers by. It turns heads. If they get a whiff, it smells fresh, and it doesn't smell exactly like everything else that's on the market now because this isn't the most popular fragrance. It's really cheap. It's really good. It's like 15 bucks to get a 50 ml like this. They pop up at the rack stores all the time. This is where I got this bottle from. And of course you can get it online. Head turner. It works. Like I said, unique, but not too unique because it doesn't smell like all the other blue fragrances out there. It's not full of ambroxan or amberwood or ambergris or any of that stuff. It's very fruity, very fresh, very aquatic, very beautiful. Dunhill, Desire Blue. Well, that was the 5, guys. And until next time, do me a real quick favor. Go ahead and like, comment, subscribe. Do appreciate all the feedback. I love hearing from you guys. How many of these do you already have? How many do the same thing for you? I assure you, they're all cheap. You're not breaking the bank getting any of these. They're decent fragrances. You may fall in love with it. You may not be able to stand it. Might be the best thing that ever happened to your fragrance wardrobe as far as pulling compliments. Might never gift you a compliment. Everything is subject to situation on a trial by trial basis with everybody's skin, setting, skin chemistry, so on and so forth. You know, all these things factor in. Do I get a compliment every time I wear a fragrance? No, of course not. But there's some that tend to factor in more. And a lot of things that factor into that is positivity, confidence, personality, attire, your grooming, hygiene, all these different things factor in. If you're just a happy person, walking by feeling good, feeling like you look good, and you feel like you smell good, more times than not, somebody's going to give you a positive response and maybe have something good to say about the way you look or smell. Keep that in mind. And until next time, I will say, if you get your hands on any of the 5 that were discussed here today and you give them a spray now, who knows? You might end up thanking me later, because you might pull some compliments. You'll definitely save some money. Have a good one, guys.
Not a drill.